We trust the lamb, not the donkey or the elephant.
How can we, I mean, just practical advice. I mean, how can we shape and form ourselves so that we're able to work for the welfare of Babylon and business, law, civil service, nonprofit, whatever it is? What are the practices that we need to start thinking about actively integrating so that we can, like you said earlier, change the vibe?
Yeah, I would 100% endorse regular people like me, like working in my lawyering profession, to embrace the ancient wisdom of a rule of life. So a rule of life was, it's biblical, and we have more time, I'd explain how, but it really kind of got named in the early monasteries of church fathers like Augustine, then Benedict, who had a set of practices, spiritual, physical work, all these things. They had a set of communal habits that was aimed at forming them into the love of God and neighbor. So aimed at forming them in the greatest law of love that Jesus lays out, how to love God and love neighbor. The monastics understood that that was a question of discipleship and formation, and that they needed common habits to get there. Okay. What is incredible is, whatever you think about the monastic system or, the Catholic Church that it came out of, rule of life, that concept has been practiced throughout really millennia now. And by the way, the monastic system, in terms of social work, basically invented hospital systems, basically cared for the poor for centuries. They were the ones who invented what became classical education. I mean, they shaped the world, unlike, maybe unparalleled to any other force. So if anybody's thinking, how do I change culture? How do I shape things? Well, the monastics started with a rule of life in order to care for the poor, a rule of life in order to create hospitals, a rule of life in order to welcome the weary world into the safe and beautiful halls of a community that loved God and loved neighbor. And what that looks like for your regular accountant or your regular, stay-at-home mom or lawyer like me, I think is a shaping set of rule of life practices that is like scripture before phone, of turning your phone off in the evening to have silence, of eating communal meals so that you're actually in a rhythm of community, of diving into close friendships, on a regular basis. Going to church is not complicated stuff. It's actually, when you break it down, very boring and very simple stuff. But these simple, ordinary acts shape extraordinary lives and change culture in extraordinary ways when the church embraces it as a community. And this, as you know, is kind of what my first book, The Common Rule, is about. So the common rule is the idea of creating a rule of life for regular common people like you and me. But I think that is the modern answer, that we need to embrace that wisdom again to become disciples so that we can then disciple the world.
I'm Patrick. Thanks for watching this video. If you're passionate about ending tribalism in the church and giving Jesus your allegiance, you're not alone. We have a podcast and a book. They're both called Truth Over Tribe. You can download the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can buy the book on Amazon. I hope you'll check them out.